What's up, everybody? Episode 25 here, and the time has come. The rear end is done. We are finally done with this housing. Yeah. 2 weeks on the dot. 2 Thursdays ago, I started wire wheeling and cleaning this thing on the ground here. And 2 weeks later, we are done. I'm estimating somewhere in the 15 to 18 hour range. I would assume that's probably pretty close. Just judging off of how many hours each day I would work, how many days it's been, and stuff like that. So we got, just to re-go over this whole project, we took a 99 Ford Explorer axle, or actually it was technically a Lincoln Mountaineer, but it's the same thing as a Ford Explorer that year. Out of the V8 one, it was a disc brake setup, 373 with posi. It's got the larger 3.25 inch axle tubes. We took it apart. We cut roughly 9.5 inches off of each tube. Okay. We wire wheeled it. We sanded it. We cleaned it up the best we could for the time being. And then we took some Tin Soldier, small tire brackets, 4-link brackets. We welded the doublers on, 1/8 inch doublers, so 1/4 inch plate brackets, 1/8 inch doublers. We welded those on. Then we made some 3/4 inch spacers. We got a bunch of these. And these spacers here sit right in there, okay? So they still fit nice and good. It held its distance by using these. So we put a couple in each bolt hole, clamped them all together. Then we welded in these center 2 spacers. So these center 2 alignment spacers. Slid them on the tubes. We got them pretty close and just kind of left them there. Then we put on our Mosier new style 9-inch hubs. The new style ones allow us to use our factory Ford Explorer brake brackets and brakes. Okay, so we did all that. We welded those on. Then we put our 4-link brackets on 20 inches center to center. We did our lower bar, which was 21 inches and 1/8. So we put that in there, welded that in, welded these plates in, got it all aligned, degreed, clocked and everything. We clocked these. These flats here were 20 degrees apart, so I believe 10 degrees on each side. So we did that. We got our upper brackets in, got the housing cleaned, welded our upper braces in, sorry, not brackets, braces in. So now we got a lower brace. This brace is parallel with the axles themselves this way and this way. Nice and parallel there. We got these guys welded in as braces here. Okay. Everything's good. This guy here spins super easy. You can see just using a couple fingers, floating it in and out real nice. That's going to guarantee that our axle is nice and straight. So, got all that done. Then, what you really haven't seen, because most of this stuff you kind of seen at this point, is we've got some front braces on there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get our alignment bar out of here. Okay, get this alignment bar out of here, and I'm going to turn this thing around so I can talk about the front braces and talk about what's next on the project now that we got this rear end done.
Have I become a little too shy for love? I've been hurt before. All's fair in love and war. So I snuggle up close to the shell I'm living in. And if I let you in, another round begins. And no, I'm spinning in a vicious cycle. I'm scared of doing something I'll regret. Maybe this is right, but I'm still staring at your silhouette. What if you're everything I need? A fire in my heart, the air I breathe. What if I'm incomplete without you by my side? What if I go vicious cycle. I'm scared of doing something I'll regret.
Alignment setup out of this axle. If you guys notice, I was using a hammer and a screwdriver on the one end. I had just got done welding that front brace in. So this guy here expanded and was kind of stuck in the Mosier end, unfortunately. So that one was a little expanded. The other one is nice and cold. That one's still pretty hot. So I'm guessing it grew a little bit and just didn't want to come out of that Mosier end. But we got it taken care of. You guys check this thing out. Definitely ready to do some work with that one. I'm super excited. I'm really happy with how this thing turned out. We're going to talk about the front braces and a couple other things in plan for the rear end. Because while it's done, it needs a couple little things still. So what we got going on is we got these 1.25 chromoly front braces. So these are 4130 chromoly, just the same as this and this other one here. These were all chromoly as well. This one's a 083. I believe it could be 095, frankly. I don't remember. It's either 083 or 095, but it's 1.25 inch. I do know that. And what I did for these is I didn't want to weld to this pinion tube. If you guys see inside there, let me get my flashlight here so you can see a little bit better. Is up inside there is pretty thin to the outside. So this area here is pretty thin because there's a little ledge up in there and it kind of dips back in. So this area is super thin right in here. I don't know if it's for cooling or for what. So I didn't really want to weld this to there. And what a lot of people do is they add some steel to the outside of this. So they'll make some like plates and some brackets that come down and then bring the tubes to those brackets. And really all they're doing there is trying to keep these tubes perfectly straight. I wasn't really worried about that. I feel like having those tubes perfectly straight really isn't going to benefit me a ton. Where they're at is still doing the job of stopping this from coming forward, right? So the axle itself, super short. You're talking this Mosier end to the Mosier end was only 30 inches. You know, it's like, it's small, right? So yeah, I think it was 30.5 inches is what it ended up being. I can't measure it like this. I don't know why I'm trying. Maybe like this. There we go. Okay, 35 inches. That's what it was. The tube itself was 30.5. So yeah, Mosier end to Mosier end, 35 inches, super short. So I'm not worried about the tubes bending a lot to begin with. So I felt like coming way out here with this bar and then going down to this, this pocket right here is for the cooling for the oil flow. So oil comes through the bearings and comes down back out here. So this is just an oil channel. So if this warped a little bit down here, I'm not too concerned. And the weld itself, where it came up into the bearing area is right where this thick part is. So I'm not really too concerned. I think this will work the best. And I hope I made a good choice. I could get a bore gauge in there and just double check it, but I'm pretty confident that everything's okay in this area. So these guys are all welded up. Everything's finished welded here. The only things I got left to do is I'm going to add some brackets somewhere up in here for the anti-roll bar. So the anti-roll bar that'll be in the back of the car, you know, your sway bar, will come down into this area here. So the anti-roll bar will need some brackets coming off the top of this 4-link plate still. And then the bottom will need the wishbone mount. So I'll still have to figure out a wishbone setup for this thing. What I really want to do is get, I'm probably going to take my old axles, wherever they are. I think they're sitting, oh yeah, they're sitting back here. So I'm probably going to take my old axles and kind of rig them into this one. So I'll probably cut them, weld them in the center, and then put some like bushings or something here, just so that I can get this thing sitting on the wheels and tires, sitting good. Or what I'll do is I'll get some more 3/4 tubing some more 3/4 tubing and come off the 4-link bar, okay? Come off the 4-link and then mount it to my tire rack here. That may be a better option. I may just do that. I haven't totally decided yet. So either way, I have to make that decision. If I do this way, I'll probably have to come off the backside where the shocks are, because I don't want to interfere with the 4-link bars themselves, because I need that for part of the mock-up. So rear end's done. Thank you guys for tuning along for the rear end build. I hope you learned something. And if you got any other questions on the rear end, hit me up on Instagram, shoot a comment down below. I'll get your questions answered either in the comments or in a video. Now, we got our first piece at 1 5/8. All right, 1 5/8 chromoly, which means we're gonna get this stuff welded up. We're gonna weld up all those seams, grind them, clean them, do whatever I gotta do for the seams there, and then plate. I'm gonna make those plates. I got my templates. They're probably a little rusty and dusty, but yeah, I got my templates here. So these templates are for here and there, and we'll get those cut out, get those plated up, and then I'll probably get this bar tacked in. Now, the only question I got is if this is gonna need a bend in it or a drive shaft loop, okay? Well, I can't put a drive shaft loop in there. I think it needs to be one piece. I'll have to double check the SFI rule book, but it may need a bend in it. So I'll double check the ruling on the bend. I don't know if it's gonna clear the drive shaft. I think it's gonna be below the drive shaft quite a bit. I mean, this thing's pretty high. So, and I think the rear end's gonna be just about as equally as high. So hopefully it doesn't need a drive shaft. Hopefully the drive shaft's just like way above it, you know, like in this area, and this thing will be down, you know, quite a bit lower. We'll see. I don't know yet. My only main concern is I'm a little tight on the budget to get my 1 5/8 shoe for my bender. So I need to get that sooner than later. That way I can start bending some tube, because guess what? I'm making a lot of progress on everything else. And it's gonna come down to start needing to get my tubing notcher and get my die, my 1 5/8 die for my tubing bender. So I have another bender over here that does like everything from 1 1/4 down. So all my small tubes, if I gotta bend any 1-inch stuff or 1 1/4 stuff, I have a bender and dies and stuff like that for that. But I need to get an 1.5 inch, and I need to get an 1 5/8 for my big bender now. So we'll get that stuff coming. I got plenty of work to do with plating and welding this stuff up, getting this thing in here, getting the tires back in, getting all that stuff lined back up. So yeah, again, we're just making progress. An hour, 2 hours a day is about the most I work on it. You guys know this. I appreciate you. I know these videos are long sometimes and long-winded sometimes, but really I'm just kind of talking about what I did for my hour of work that night, or my 2 hours of work that night. Yeah, you guys have a good night. I've had a long day. I'm super happy I got this progress done on the axle. You guys have a good night. Thank you for watching.